The British government has admitted issuing licenses that would have allowed the sale to Syria of chemicals that could be used to make nerve gas. London gave the permission last January when Syria was already ravaged by civil war. Otis Zarafat has the details.
Business Secretary Vince Cable's certainly going to be facing some tough questions over these revelations that the British government had granted export licenses to an as yet unnamed British company. Now, this was for substances to be sent to Syria, and it was for two so-called dual-use substances, and that was potassium fluoride and sodium fluoride, and both those agents can be used as precursor chemicals in the manufacture of nerve gas. Now, those export licenses granted by the Department for Business, Innovation and Skills, it's reported in January the 17th and 18th, and that license valid for 6 months in 2012, as you mentioned, when the civil war in Syria was already raging. And so huge concerns over the fact that those export licenses were ever granted in the first place, and some big questions remaining. Now, the department has come back and said that it had assessed over whether there was a risk that that could be used for internal repression. They said that they felt the export license was correctly granted, and that also they'd accepted assurances from the exporting company that these chemicals could be used for the manufacture of window frames in industrial processes. But as we said, those chemicals can also be used as precursor chemicals in the creation of the types of nerve agents that we've seen the British government accusing the Syrian government of having used on its own people. There's huge concern anyway about the suspected chemical weapons stockpiles in the country. I think we've got a map of some of the suspected sites there. Of course, huge concern about what the Syrian government could potentially be doing with those chemical weapons, but of course also that some of those sites where it's thought there are chemical weapons stockpiles could fall into the wrong hands as the situation gets ever more complex on the ground in that country. But it's thought here today there are going to be questions tabled in Parliament to really run through and scrutinise exactly how these licences for chemical weapons, for chemical agents that could be used in the types of weapons that the Syrian government are being accused of using on their own people, were granted for a British company to send to Syria.